Hello, happy Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. I'm sending you a virtual hug, cake, seeds, however you like to celebrate Earth Day. I have been thinking about a few themes, big ideas, stories, and I had to come on here and share because I have not really shared about these before. And I feel that with Earth Day being here now and with the COVID crisis, there's this interesting overlap that I'm seeing. So I wanted to share some ideas with you. And I am really curious which one of these four things I'm going to share has been showing up in your life. Maybe you've seen all of them. I've seen them to some degree or another in my life. So the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. That's what scientists estimate from the geological record. So, pretty old planet we live on. And I know that probably every single culture on Earth, or at least all the ones that I have read stories and mythology from, have a value that's a part of them in which we respect our elders. And when I was young, I used to read so many folk tales, mythology, stories from all over. And I was a literature major for my undergrad. And so I have studied stories so deeply. And some of these stories are changing now. And I think it's really interesting to notice, similar to many diseases or illnesses, the people at either end of life are often the most affected, the very young or the very old. And with this COVID crisis, this disease, sorry, I shouldn't say disease because it's not really a disease, this virus, with it impacting the elderly to a greater degree than people who are not in that stage of life, it has essentially forced people to look at how do we treat our elder population, or what are our values. And also the planet, she's really old. How have we been treating her? And I am really feeling good when I think about people are protecting the elderly people that I know. The people who I know, okay, not every elder person is wise, but a lot of them are. And I really deeply rely on some of the elders in my life for wisdom, and just knowing that even if I know a lot, there's a lot I don't know. Somebody 20, 30, 40 years older than me has seen so much more and lived through so much more. And so I think that's a cool idea that maybe we can bring that back into our society, because I would say in the Western world, there isn't a lot of reverence for elders like we could do to have. And in fact, there's often what I have noticed sometimes, this feeling of, oh, we cast off, put aside, devalue people after a certain age. But we all know we are all valuable. And that's another one of the ideas I've been thinking about. A lot of leaders have used this term essential workers, and while it is a good way to quantify for our day-to-day needs who is essential and who is not, I want to remind you that we are all essential people. All of our actions are not essential. All jobs, all industries are not essential. But you are here because you're essential. You are important. The whole course of life is reliant on you being you and bringing forth what you have to bring forth. And there are great movies and stories that show like the impact of one person's life. And how much have you thought about the impact that your life has had on others, or what impact you would desire to have? Another big theme or story that I have been noticing is about the small is beautiful and powerful. So look at how this tiny virus, microscopic thing has brought the world to its knees, essentially. And it's tiny. It's so small. I'm sure you've seen pictures of it. And I think about other small things like, okay, so I have this seed here. This is one of my favorite seeds. It's called a runner bean black coat. It's actually an heirloom seed from the 1600s. This is one of the cool things that I love about plants. You know, humans have been working with plants for so much of our existence. So, you know, for 400 years, we have been saving this seed, sharing this seed. People have passed it along to friends. I would love to share some. I have extras, so if you want to message me, I can probably share with at least 5 people. This seed is beautiful. So let me show you the seed packet. When it is first growing in the seed pod, it's a lovely pink, and then as it dries, it turns purple, and then as it's fully dry, it's dark black like this. And I don't know what it is about this seed, but I am just smitten with it. I feel like Jack and the Beanstalk with my magic bean seeds every time I hold these seeds. And that story, I have loved that story for years, because to me, there is something so magical in a seed. And how cool is it to explore our interactions with plants that we have had relationships with for hundreds of years? And there are reasons, there are certain plants that we keep on having around, that we interact with a lot. And I know you might be thinking, well, yeah, because they're tasty. But even more than just taste, like there's something really exciting about growing seeds. And another thing that I would like you to potentially think about is, okay, how many people have potatoes in your kitchen right now? So I have some that I cut the eyes off of, and then I plant this little section. It does not radically impact my degree to eat my potato. So like, here's a potato, the eye is still not really that formed yet. I don't know if this is focusing in enough. We've been growing potatoes, I should have looked this up before I came on live, hundreds of years. There's all different kinds of potatoes. Last night I was dreaming about heirloom potatoes. This plant we humans have had a relationship with for so long. And I know there are some people who are super into like health who don't want to eat white potatoes. Cool, don't eat them. There's blue potatoes. There's other pink potatoes, red potatoes. Or don't eat them if you don't want to. But for a lot of us, it's a super easy plant to grow. It's really empowering to harvest something that you have grown yourself, that you've tended to for a season, and that you then get to eat. It tastes so good. It's so fresh. And that brings me to the 4th theme that I want to talk about. The 3rd theme was small is beautiful and powerful. And the 4th is related to it, which is that slow is powerful and slow is amazing. And this is something that I have known for a long time. And I'm still also working through letting this story be a big part of my life right now. Because many people have noticed that the pace of life and the frantic, hectic, harried, stressed way of being in the world is not great for us. It's not great for the planet. It's not great for our relationships. It's not great for each other. And yet, many of us have kept up with it. With this current situation, a lot of us have had to screech to a halt and slow things down. I've had to slow down the stuff that I'm doing. Some days that makes me annoyed. And other days I tell myself, I know that I'm not supposed to be productive every waking minute of the day. And actually, since the COVID crisis, I read this one book and realized research shows we're actually even supposed to rest more than I believed. So I used to have in practice that 25% of my working hours were what would be restful activity, because I do not believe in being productive 100%. And then I read the statistic that we actually need to rest 42% of the time. Now, that doesn't mean sleep, although sleep does go along with that. Sleep is a part of that time of rest. But restful activities could be watching TV, looking at the clouds, taking a walk, something that even if you're physically moving, that is mentally not super engaging and is also not incredibly physically taxing. So we all need this time to rest, and yet there's this pressure, or has been pressure, to push, do more. And I've really been sitting with the idea, meditating on it, praying on it. Oops, just throwing my seeds. How can I let slow be enough? How can I work like a plant? I mean, this bean, if I plant this today, oh, what is it, 60, 70 days from now? It might tell me on here. It's going to produce its beans. It's not overnight. This bean plant is not working all of the time. And you might be saying, well, yeah, it's a bean. It doesn't have to live a life like we do. Except there's not, you can say hi if you want. There is the opportunity for us to explore. Maybe you don't want to say, how can I be like a bean? But you could ask yourself, how can I let slow, intentional, peaceful growth or movement be more the norm? How can I let whatever I can do be enough? And this also goes along with this essential piece, in that we are all essential. Whatever you can do is incredible. And what you can't do, oh, thanks. That was a good time for a thumbs up. Whatever you can't do, maybe this isn't the time to do it. One of the things that I hope is going to happen with the economic... Oh, here, will you grab those bean seeds from him? I just don't want him to dump those everywhere. One of the things that I really hope is going to happen in the economic, societal, whatever space all over the world, which some countries are already really looking into, is this universal income. Because we've reached a point where we have enough technology, we've had enough achievements, we don't have to have this frantic pushing forward energy all of the time in order to achieve and for us to survive. And throughout history, that has had its role, like that was important. But we're in a new time in history. We're in a new... Here, you can see some of these seeds. We're in a new time period. I know I just said that, but it is a little distracting, these little people. This time period that we're in, this changing, a lot of times with us personally and globally, if there's going to be a shift, it's not necessarily like you decide to do something and then it happens the next day and you're like, well, that was easy. I mean, sometimes it is easy and that's wonderful. But sometimes for these big things, like the idea of a universal income that governments will just give to citizens, that's a pretty big idea. That even the first time I heard it, I was like, I don't know. And then as I thought about it a little bit, I was like, that's brilliant. Let's do it. And then I'm thinking, when is everybody else going to catch on and say, yeah, let's do it? And in the process of doing it, though, we come up with all of these different beliefs, values, places where people are coming from. And so there's a transition period. And right now we're in a big transition period as people are moving from one way of being to another, or many ways of being to many other ways of being. And this is why I deeply believe that all humans, or at least most of us, are going to start finding new ways of caring for the planet, of interacting with nature. And even if the day-to-day results of that don't always show that, I know that it is going to happen, and I believe that it's going to happen. And even just in the past few weeks, I've seen people talking about it, interacting with it in a way that has not happened before. And so although I wouldn't wish a virus or economic upheaval or, you know, these different uncomfortable transitions that we have been going through, we are exploring new, exciting ways of moving through this transition and bringing new things to life, new ideas, new stories, new themes that I think are going to be super exciting. And the last thing I want to say is that the reason I'm talking about this is a lot of these ideas, for an idea to be accepted widely, it also helps if individuals believe that. And that, like, if we all have like a cultural story that we believe, there needs to be so many people believing that cultural story. And so as you are exploring some of these themes in your life or how it shows up in your life, that is also contributing to the story in the culture, to the new awareness, to new values, that we want to respect our elders, that we believe and know that small is beautiful and powerful, that slow is powerful, that it's okay for people to value you. It's okay to accept. I don't know if I said that exactly like this before, but we are all essential. You are important, you are valued, and you're loved. So on this Earth Day, I wish you the best. All right. Oh, I think I'm having a little bit of video problems. So I'm going to end my video